You are easier to replace than you think. Not because you're weak, not because you're boring, because you've made yourself endlessly available. You answer every call. You explain every decision. You show up whenever you're needed. And eventually, people stop seeing your presence as something valuable. They see it as something guaranteed. Here's the shift. Stop trying to become someone people need. Become someone they genuinely value. And those are not the same thing. Welcome to Mindwire. Today we're breaking down 7 principles of silent power inspired by Machiavellian thinking and how to use them without manipulating anyone. Because the goal isn't to make people afraid of you. It's to become so secure in your own value that you no longer need to chase theirs. Machiavelli understood something about power that still matters. People respond differently to what feels abundant and what feels scarce. But don't misunderstand the lesson. This isn't about playing games. It's not about disappearing to make someone anxious. It's not about pretending to be busy. And it's certainly not about making people emotionally dependent on you. The deeper lesson is about self-possession. If your time, attention, approval, and energy are available to everyone at every moment, you can accidentally teach people that accessing you requires nothing. So ask yourself, when people think of you, do they think of someone valuable or simply someone available? That distinction changes everything. Here's the first rule. Stop explaining every decision you make. You don't need a courtroom defense for every boundary. You don't need 5 reasons for declining an invitation. You don't need to convince someone that your decision is reasonable before you're allowed to make it. Try something simpler. Instead of saying, "I'm really sorry, I can't come because I've been busy, and I've got this thing tomorrow," say, "I can't make it tonight." That's it. Notice what happens next. Some people will accept it immediately. Others will start searching for a way around your answer. Why? Can't you just come for an hour? But you came last time. And that's where you learn something. Not about whether they're evil, about whether they respect your autonomy. A boundary doesn't become stronger because you explain it 20 times. Sometimes it becomes weaker because you've turned it into a negotiation. State your decision. Don't beg someone to approve it. And remember, you can be kind without being constantly available for debate. The second rule is uncomfortable. You don't have to be everywhere. You don't need to answer every message immediately. You don't need to attend every event. You don't need to rescue everyone from every inconvenience. And you don't need to prove your loyalty by sacrificing your entire schedule. Being selective isn't arrogance. It's having priorities. Think about it. If someone knows you'll always cancel your plans for them, always answer immediately and always make yourself available. What incentive do they have to respect your time? Now imagine something different. You have your own work, your own goals, your own interests, your own life. Sometimes you're available, sometimes you're not. Not as a tactic, because your life actually has somewhere to go. Ask yourself, am I available because I genuinely want to be, or because I'm afraid people will stop choosing me if I aren't? That answer matters, because there's a difference between generosity and self-abandonment. Third rule, talk less about what you're going to do. Do more of it. Everybody has plans. Everybody has ambitions. Everybody has a story about what they're going to become. But results don't need an announcement. They create their own evidence. If you're building something, build it. If you're learning something, learn it. If you're changing your life, change it. You don't need to narrate every step. When you constantly announce your intentions, you invite people to evaluate the plan before you've created the result. But when you quietly execute, the result speaks for you. So instead of telling everyone, "One day I'm going to," ask yourself, "What can I finish this week without telling anyone?" That question changes your relationship with progress. Because confidence doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it simply produces evidence. Now remember Rule 1. You stated the boundary. What happens when someone ignores it? This is where most people fail. They say, "Don't do that." The person does it again. They say, "Seriously, stop." It happens again. Then they give another warning, and another. Eventually, everyone learns the same lesson. Your words have no consequences. A boundary isn't a threat. It's a decision about what you will do. For example, if you continue speaking to me that way, I'm ending this conversation. No speech. Then, if it continues, no revenge, just consistency. That's what makes a boundary believable. And ask yourself, what boundary have I communicated repeatedly, but failed to enforce? That is where your work begins. Because respect isn't created by saying stronger words. It's created when your actions consistently match them. This is where silent power becomes real. You have to be willing to leave what consistently diminishes you. That doesn't mean abandoning people the moment things become difficult. Healthy relationships require patience. People make mistakes. People grow. People have bad seasons. But there's a difference between supporting someone's growth and repeatedly sacrificing yourself for someone who refuses to change. Ask yourself, if this relationship never improved, would I still choose it? That's a brutal question. Because sometimes we're not staying because the relationship is healthy. We're staying because we're emotionally attached to the possibility that it might become healthy. And that's different. Your ability to walk away isn't about making someone afraid of losing you. It's about removing the fear that keeps you from making a necessary decision. The moment you know you can survive someone's absence, their approval loses some of its power over you. And that's freedom. Sixth, don't give every emotion immediate control over your behavior. Someone provokes you. Pause. Someone insults you. Pause. Someone sends an angry message. You don't have to answer instantly. Someone misunderstands you. You don't have to write a 3-page explanation at midnight. The pause matters, because between emotion and action, there is a small space, and that space is where self-control lives. This doesn't mean becoming emotionless. It means feeling something without immediately surrendering your behavior to it. The most powerful person in an argument isn't necessarily the loudest. Sometimes it's the person who can say, "I'll respond when I'm calm," then actually walk away. Ask yourself, how many decisions have I made while emotionally activated that I later wished I'd delayed? Your emotions aren't the enemy, but they shouldn't automatically become your instructions. Now we reach the rule that connects everything. Don't focus on becoming irreplaceable to another person. Build a life that is valuable even when nobody is watching. Develop skills. Build discipline. Take care of your responsibilities. Protect your reputation. Create meaningful relationships. Have interests outside one person. Have goals that don't depend on someone else's approval. Because the strongest form of personal value isn't, "They can't live without me." It's, "I can live fully without needing everyone to choose me." That's the difference between power and dependency. And ironically, that's often what makes someone more valuable to others. Not because they're playing hard to get, because they have something real to bring to the relationship. Ask yourself, if everyone stopped applauding tomorrow, what would still be worth building? Build that. Let's put everything together. 1. Stop over-explaining. 2. Stop being permanently available. 3. Let your results speak. 4. Make your boundaries real. 5. Be willing to walk away from what consistently diminishes you. 6. Master your reactions. 7. Build a life that doesn't depend on being chosen. Notice what changed. None of these rules require manipulation. You don't need to disappear to create anxiety. You don't need to make someone jealous. You don't need to punish people with silence. You don't need to pretend you're more important than you are. You simply stop giving away control over your time, attention, emotions, and self-worth. That's the deeper form of silent power. Not controlling other people, controlling what you give access to. So maybe the goal was never to become someone people fear losing. Maybe the goal was something better, to become someone you refuse to abandon. The version of you who doesn't beg for basic respect, who doesn't explain every boundary, who doesn't chase people who repeatedly walk away, who doesn't sacrifice everything just to remain someone's favorite option, who can care deeply without losing themselves. That's rare, and that's valuable, not because other people are afraid of losing you, but because you finally stopped being willing to lose yourself. So here's your challenge. Before you leave this video, identify one thing you're doing because you're afraid of being replaced, rejected, or forgotten. Maybe you're over-explaining. Maybe you're always available. Maybe you're tolerating something you've already said you're uncomfortable with. Maybe you're chasing someone who stopped meeting you halfway. Choose one and change it. If this video made you rethink your own value, comment, "I won't abandon myself." Subscribe to MindWire for the next breakdown on power, psychology, human behavior, and the patterns most people never notice. And send this to someone who needs the reminder. You don't become powerful by making other people smaller. You become powerful by becoming harder to shake. Stay observant. Stay disciplined. Stay MindWire.